All right, so welcome into another episode of Rosey and Goldy here on twitch.tv/Rosey and Goldy. Thanks so much for jumping in and joining us as always, along with former Syracuse great Roosevelt Bowie. I'm Seth Goldberg, talking with you for a little bit this afternoon. And Rosie, we were chatting back and forth before the show, and I know what I've been doing over the last week, and that's watching a whole lot of NBA bubble basketball. But how have you been?
Doing pretty good. Actually, I got my bit of fishing in there. I had a little traumatic experience. I caught a fish. I held my hand up like this, and about this much fish stuck out on the top and the bottom. So
Ooh.
I had to send my smallest catch ever. One day fishing, caught one fish, and I sent it to Coach Beheim. So I wanted him to feel good about himself.
You had to make him feel good. What is he not a great fisher? Is that the deal? You're a better fisher than he is?
Well, you know what? Every time he signs something for me, he always signs it to the second best fisherman. so every
Okay.
time I catch a really nice fish, I call the office and I have them call the secretary and have her print it, and then his assistant have her print it off and just kind of slip it under his paper so it just kind of sticks out of the corner. So I felt it just wasn't fair just to go out, just to only send him my best days when I go out fishing. So I figured I'd man up and send him a day. I went out from 9:30 in the morning in Henderson Harbor until 4:30 in the afternoon, and I caught one perch. And I was the only person on the boat to catch a fish. So, and I was
a
happy
rough
for
day
that.
out there.
Oh man, it was a rough day, but other than that, NBA basketball, it's I tell you what, it's really great, Seth. It's to come back and actually see basketball. Oh man, I tell you what, I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's been great to watch. I will say I've been enjoying being able to watch it like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I have not hated that aspect of it either. And you know what? For the most part, these games have been a whole lot of fun. Like, they've been compelling. The offense has been off the charts.
Yeah.
And, it's the NBA, so you have storylines everywhere.
Yeah, you know what, I keep watching, and actually I'm a big fan of old school basketball. Get the ball on the inside and let the big guys go to work. But I am flexible enough to say, hey, listen, if you can get it the easy way, get it the easy way, and then when you get stuck at a tough point during the game, when that shot dries up a little bit, dump it down inside to the big guys.
Exactly. After you loosen it up, after you get everybody out to come face Damian Lillard 35 feet from the basket, then we dump it down to Roosevelt Bowie, who's there for the easy dunk.
Exactly. You got to get. I always say that the tough shots are, when someone makes a tough shot, the other team goes, "Man, that was a tough shot." But when you get scored on from like that far away from the basket, not only is it a tough shot, but it's kind of like takes a little chip away at your pride, because like I just came in your backyard and I drank your Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's a little more personal when they get that close, right? It gives them a little something
Absolutely.
extra. Look, LeBron takes 2 steps over the midcourt stripe and puts it up. It's kind of impersonal and you're amazed, but when somebody dunks in your face, it's probably a little more frustrating.
Absolutely. And getting back to that LeBron thing there, he said he walked into a 36-footer. After he said it, I slowed it down and I counted his steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm not the best at math, but I'm pretty sure that's a traveling twice over. Your opinion?
I know what you're saying. I get it. You get the 2 momentum steps, maybe, but that was a lot. Look, hey, but we know the rules, right? We know the way that the human mind works. The human mind will give certain people a little more leeway than others. LeBron gets a little more wiggle room.
Well, as you know, I've always been a tad bit critical of referees. I feel that if the players don't score baskets and don't get rebounds or don't run the plays, guess what? They're looking for a new job. I rest my case.
You think that referees should be treated the same way the players are and the coaches are?
Well, it's kind of funny because how can you mess up in a major? Where else can you mess up in a major venue? Everybody catch you, and I still have stuck in my craw. Merrick Dolezaj saves the basketball out of bounds, throws it up court, and he looks up on the camera. They call him out of bounds. He looks up on the camera at the dome and sees that he's in bounds and points to it. And the referee not only is angry, but gives him a technical.
Yep.
And I'm just like, that's still stuck right here. That's like a bone I'm trying to swallow. It's been stuck there for a while.
That's it's jabbing at you a little bit. It's just kind of that they got to get that lasting jab in there to kind of show you that they hold the rule. Like, they might not be right all the time, and
Yeah.
in the case of Marek Dolezaj, they were not, but unfortunately their word goes, and you just kind of have to deal with it.
But you know what? I wouldn't even have, to be quite honest with you, Seth, I wouldn't even have a problem if when they did it, okay, and I've seen it. It's happened to me where they've made a wrong call, and I've just been like, oh man, you missed that one, and the referee will go like, I'll make up for it, or the ref will go like, or you'll smack me on the butt and go, yeah, I know, I'll get it. And you can get it back, but to actually take offense to the suck, come on, man.
Compounding it with a technical is always worse. I mean, just always worse.
Everybody makes mistakes. You make that mistake, heat of the moment. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times the heat of the moment during a game that something has happened and the referees have made the wrong call, and I don't make any comments or anything, but I'll give a look like, and they'll just smack me on the leg and go like, "We'll get it back," or "Yeah, you're right, I missed it." And once that's said, I'm good. I can, because it's good for players to be able to know how to measure themselves. But how do you measure? I guarantee you, if somebody comes in off the bench and they take 4 steps and take a shot, what do you think is going to happen?
It's gonna be a travel.
Yeah, and the thing that gets me that is
Dion Waiters doesn't get away with that.
I don't know. The thing that gets me is they don't. It's LeBron James. He doesn't need any help. He doesn't need any help to get anything done on the floor. And so I'm like, so that's what makes me smile. I'm like, you could actually make calls against him, and he would still come out he would still come out smelling like a rose. So I don't know.
I'm glad you mentioned that about LeBron. He doesn't need help. He's just so. It's just amazing to watch him. It's just amazing watching him on a night in, night out basis. He's been doing this for 17 years, and he's still putting up lines like he did last night of 30 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds, and hitting the big shot when you need the big shot. I mean, do you marvel at that kind of a thing as much as I might? Because I just think it's unbelievable.
You know what? The thing that really got me is I was playing in my second or third to last game in the league, and I was playing in Spain. We just came off a European Championship, and I'm playing with this. It's a promotional game, and Scottie Pippen, David Robinson, and Charles Barkley were there. So they came over to play, and I just been in training camp for 2 weeks, by the way. And the first week there was no basketballs. The first week when they train you train like you're a track star. So I just got off of that. So when I came down there, I had the option to play or not to play. And I said, I'd rather enjoy it like everybody else is. And fortunately at that time, the Spurs were about to be sold. And they said if David Robinson was healthy, it went for a phenomenal sum. And if he wasn't healthy, having to get hurt, it would be like 2/3 less.
Wow.
So he got the phone call for him not to play. So David and I sat on the bench together and we talked. And he's all of 7 feet. He was, and at the time, we're the same height, basically the same build. And he had me by probably 20 pounds, 25 pounds of muscle. And I'm like, And you're talking, I was 32, 33 years old. And, centers reach their prime, later. And I was kind of, I thought I was a pimp in the box. I thought I had something going on. But I sat down next to David Robinson. I went, okay. So imagine, and then I saw, so Charles Barkley's there. Charles Barkley's like 6'3.5".
Right.
He's Charles Barkley. I looked at him. I was like, what?
He's closer to my size than yours.
And he was at, they were asking me to help translate stuff that was going on there. And they were being real funny and everything. So then we got Scottie Pippen. So Scottie's sitting there, he's warming up before they go out, and I'm just kind of chilling with them, watching them. And then at one point during the game, they had this Spanish player who we just played against in the finals, and he's known for being Speedy Gonzalez. He is like a bolt of lightning in a streak of white heat. He's about 6'2", 6'3". There are numerous times during a game where he'll take off on the dribble. The man running next to him without the ball can't keep up with him. And I've seen that, right? So the game starts out, and who pairs up against him? Scottie Pippen. 6'7". This kid does like he always does. What he does is they take the ball out of bounds, and he sweeps across on the run, catches the ball, and then accelerates. He accelerated, and Scottie Pippen put his arms out to the side and matched him step for step. And I went, oh, my God. I've been watching this guy play for like 4 or 5 years and embarrass people. And this guy, just to give you an idea of the prowess of NBA players, and Scottie Pippen at 6'7", he wasn't even in a defensive stance. He had his arms out like this and just like, and was looking at the guy face to face. I was going, wow. It gives you a whole new perspective. And then, so after that, now we're talking about LeBron James. Put like 40 pounds of muscle, an IQ, basketball IQ that's phenomenal, does what he wants to. Those are the kind of people, if you run into them, I like to think back, any of the guys that ran into him coming up playing, they like quit. They stop playing. His physical prowess on the floor. And I've always said, when I was watching, between Michael Jordan, they talk Michael Jordan and they talk LeBron James. I just look at the physicality of it all, and I would say that it seemed to me like, LeBron should be able to get more years out of it because of the way he takes care of his body, and he has got, holy smokes, does he have a tool that nobody else can match? Not to mention hard work ethic. Hey, incredible player.
I think that's really the most amazing thing. You mentioned his body, and you could talk about, he's a great ball handler. He's got great vision. He could shoot whatever you want. You can mention. The most amazing thing is his physical build. Like, you look at him, and what's he listed at? 6'8", 250? Like, there's no way. He's got to be at least 6'10". He's got to be at least 270. Like, he's just built in this way that, like, people aren't built doing things that people that size don't necessarily do. Like, it's unbelievable to watch.
I watched him. When I watch a game, I watch, like, he was playing. It was they were playing against the Golden State Warriors, and it was Iguodala who was playing against him. Iguodala is a big, strong guy, and I remember watching LeBron go to the basket, and they didn't call him for a foul, and they did a slow motion of the whole action, and you could see LeBron drives to the basket, he makes contact with Iguodala, and his face goes. He didn't back up or anything, but the sheer pain of the contact, he took that shot and he was just like, and he just stayed right on. I was like, that guy took contact and it hurt. And this is on a everyday catch the ball, crossover, drive to the basket. You see it every day. When he does it, he leaves a mark.
Yeah, and I'm sure. If you look over the course of his career, he's gotten hurt for being his size because he not hurt physically, hurt, with some calls, because he probably can bust through some contact that, somebody who's slightly smaller doesn't. You mentioned David Robinson and the comparison to you. There are probably plays that David Robinson, some contact that David Robinson could handle that maybe you couldn't. Not saying that you're a small person by any means, but that extra weight, that extra muscle can really help you.
It really does. And when I came back, it's so funny that you say that. I came back from playing in Europe, and I had to do the detox thing because I had you play so many years, you got a chip right here, and that's how you maintain your level of playing. So I came back and I was playing in a church league. We all get together, we hold hands, we say the Lord's Prayer, we start playing, and so the play starts out, and so I'm going like. I'm not going physical. I'm going technical. So I'm like, my technique was sweet. If they push me on the left hand side, I'd bump them hard and I spin back to the other hand side and I shoot off the glass. They don't even have a chance to foul me. They're just falling out of picture. Everybody wants to foul me. So at a certain point, I'm doing my little thing there. They send the guy over to help, and he comes over to help, and I've got the ball right. I make my move. I got the ball right here. He swings at the ball. I move it. He slaps me in the forehead. I open my eyes. I finish the shot and I make it. And the referee makes no call. And I said, "Ref, why?" And he goes, he's like, "You got 35 points." He's like, "Come on, keep playing." And I was like, "Can the ref say that?"
You don't need my help. You're doing well enough on your own, is basically what he said.
Exactly. That's what he said. And so I would try to judiciously not get upset, not get angry, because, hey, we're playing for fun. And so next time down the court, so I'm running up the court against this guy, and I look at him, I go like, I know the referee didn't, make a call, but like, you just slapped me in the face. Shouldn't you say excuse me or something? And he just smiled and ran down the floor. And about 46.2 seconds later, I got the ball again. I crossed over. He came running over to hack me, and I took the ball up left-handed, and I chopped him right in the teeth. Accidentally.
Of course. Always.
Move. And then I looked at him, and he was traumatized that I hit him before he hit me, and that it should have been a foul. I'm like, man, I can never be a referee. I can't even play pickup ball without being attacked. So I was a big bully that day, and I was, I went out with the guy and said, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand this new concept, because I've been playing basketball here since I left and went to Italy. I used to put it on that. I've been gone for a while. I don't know how this stuff goes." But
I get it. Rules change for different people, like I said. When you watch the Lakers this year, you see a team that's ready to go win a ring. Obviously, they've got LeBron, they've got Anthony Davis, they've got talented guys. You see a team that can win a championship?
Well, I look at Anthony Davis, and I'm like, back in the day, I told everybody that I was 6'11" and 3/4 because I didn't want to be considered a 7-footer,
right?
Because 7-footers are like, lurch you. So I tried to pattern myself after smaller guys, be physical, be quicker, and then I remember talking to Lewis, and Lewis said the same. He said he was talking to Patrick Ewing. He said, "Yeah, he looked at the way you were playing. And he's like, yeah, that's the way. That's the kind of we want to bring centers to that stage with the more athletic. Holy crap! Look at Anthony Davis. What the heck? Somebody took a 6'2" guy and stretched him out and I think he's like a robot. He's like inside. You push the button, you open him up, and the little guy will come out. That guy has moves. He's got the shot. It's hard to believe he's the second best player on the team, because at any given time he can flip a switch and he's unstoppable. They are poised. I mean, they got to stay healthy. They're used to playing in this gym. And one of the things that I think with playing all your games in the same place is there is no home court advantage, and everybody gets real comfortable with the court they're on and shooting because you've been playing all your games there for forever.
Yeah. So there were a couple things. There were a couple things I wanted to mention actually about that since you brought it up. I think that people are getting comfortable on the court. I think that the court has incredible sight lines without anything in the background. And I think that has helped offensive production. And I think that the lack of travel really helps. And like that might sound funny because they're on private jets and they're staying in 5-star hotels. But you also don't need to fly from Los Angeles to Houston or from, Boston to Miami. Like you don't need to do it. You're a 15-minute walk from your hotel at the end of the night. Like that's such a huge difference.
It really is. I remember talking to guys that came over. Bob McAdoo and Daryl Dawkins came over to play in Italy. Joe Barry Carroll, Antoine Carr. There are times where those guys wake up and they don't know where they are because they'll play in the city. They'll leave at night, fall asleep, get up, go to get in the hotel. They don't know where they are. And another thing that can have an effect on people is that wow factor. Like when you walk into Chicago and you're playing against the Bulls and you see Michael Jordan everywhere, or you go to play LA and you
Boston
see
Garden. Yeah.
And the wow factor is gone because these guys are seeing each other all day, every day, all the time. There's not going to be that feeling like when you walk into the gym and you see Michael getting out of his car and you're like, whoa, it has an effect. It has an effect on you. So now the more time you spend around the person, the more that wow factor is gone, and you really have to produce. So it might only be for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but in that 3 to 5 minutes, some major things can happen. Right now, when these guys walk into the gym, it's like you put your sneakers on like I do. You're staying in a hotel room like I am. You're eating the same food that we're eating. You can work out all you want to, but the bottom line, you have 2 shoes, shorts on, and a jersey like me. And everybody's just stepping up there. And it's also giving guys that may not have been superstars anywhere, giving them a chance because they're also watching what the superstars are doing. And they're like, I can't do all of that, but I can do some of that. And it's raising everybody's level, I think.
Yeah, I think that you're seeing that with a couple of guys. TJ Warren in Indiana had like an amazing 5-7 game stretch before the playoffs officially started. You look at Damian Lillard, and like I think everybody knows that he's really good, but he's taken it up another level in the seeding games and then in the playoffs. And I think that a guy that you mentioned before the show, Rosie, Luka Doncic, has kind of I don't want to call it a coming out party because I think that he was already highly regarded after his rookie year last year, but he's played at a different level and he hits that buzzer beater the other night, and it just seems like he's living up to that moment as well.
Well, the thing, Luka Doncic, I think he's got an advantage over some people because he's been playing against pros. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier about this. He says that he's playing. You came to the NBA and he's playing. He didn't have that adjustment. They're saying that he's better than a lot of the other players were when they got into the league. The funny thing is, he's been playing. The other guys are playing against college kids, some high school kids, and then they come and they're playing against grown men. Luka Doncic, when he was 13 years old, with that kid's body, was playing against grown men. Okay, so he was already playing against grown men that were bigger, that were stronger, that were smarter than he was. So to stay on the court, he had to do what he could do. He had to be smart. He had to be quick. He had to be alert. He had to not try to beat a man that's physically stronger than you with strength. You had to beat him with quickness or smarts or your ball handling ability. So he's already gone through all of that, right? Then he comes to the NBA, which is, it's not like high school, college, NBA. It's like he goes like they don't have high school in Europe. They have, if you got talent, they'll put you on a pro team and then you work out with the best guys until you can shine. And then when you shine, so for him coming from the men's league in Europe at 13 and stepping into the NBA, first of all, he got 15, 20 pounds. And I can tell you 5 pounds makes a difference. When I came in at 190, when I hit 200 pounds, I thought I was the Incredible Hulk. And then my junior year, I hit 220. I felt that I could tip a bus, so I wouldn't even move out of the way if a bus was coming. I mean, that's of course that wasn't true, but that's what you feel like. So imagine this kid. So he's actually coming to play with pro players, and he's got his body starting to shape up, and he's like, I'm not playing with a skin and bones like I was before. I'm playing with my same skills, and I've got a little body that I can. And the first time you bump into somebody, they fall down. I can tell you, it is like it is. I remember being at Syracuse and all the guys being bigger than I was. I weighed 5 pounds more than Ross Kendall, who was a point guard. I had Hal Corn. I had Hal Corn by about maybe 9, 10 pounds. So the first time I actually ran into a big player setting a pick and I knocked him down my sophomore year, I wanted to beat on my chest and swing from a rope. It gives you that feeling of invincibility. And so imagine him out there. So he's not like he didn't do that step thing like most people did. He went right front. He did a step and then that huge step, learning how to play with guys with that ability. And then he kind of stepped laterally. You're playing with the best players in the world, but he's got better tools, he's more experienced, and he's got a body to work with. So it makes a lot of sense to me that he would be better. He would be so good.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because, and I am happy that I have tape that can back this out, back this up. I had the same exact thoughts of him before the draft. I was like, this kid's 18 years old. He's been playing professionally, and not only like playing and getting by, was the MVP of the leagues over there. You know, he was playing at an incredibly high level. Like, he was not playing in the ACC or the Pac-12. Like, he was playing better basketball against grown adults. And so the idea to me that there was concern about him or there was fear that he doesn't translate, the only thing I possibly could have thought of is he didn't. People did, and because of that we're a little concerned that like moving forward he's not going to translate in that same way. That was the only knock I could possibly think of against him, is that he didn't come through the American system.
You know, the funny thing is this: like I went over a couple years ago, and I went to the Euro Cup. I went to some of those games. I played in the Copa Quarters, Copa Campione, all of those cups in Europe. Each of those individual cups are treated like the Final Four here. I mean, that is the only thing going on in Europe. And I mean, it gets all of the following. So if you want to talk about pressure wise, 13, 14, 15-year-old kid going through that, listen, I think maybe the first 2 or 3 times you'd have been a little shocked. But then when you start doing it over and over again and playing against that competition, so there's so many different tournaments in Europe. So when I think when you finish in the top 3, you play in the Champions Cup,
Right.
And then the next 3 teams in each country play in another cup, and then the next 3 teams down, they'll play in another cup. So you're playing the top teams from the top countries in Europe all the time. So you're really getting a chance to find out what you're made of. And just look at our guys at Syracuse that went to Europe to play, and just those couple of weeks playing in Europe. I mean, the one thing that I saw immediately that we were more talented, but the European game is more physical. And I say that I'm not saying that I'm saying that because referees in the United States are better. They can control the game. I can't believe I just said that. Oh,
wow.
please.
You complimented the refs. That really, you know, we've been doing shows together for a couple years. That might be a first from you.
It's getting warm in here. I think I need a drink of water. But I really realized that referees control the game. They have the ability to control a game when they want to. In Europe, the players are better at getting away with stuff. I can tell you, I averaged 4.6 fouls a game in my career, and if I had 2 fouls and I've almost fouled out with a man ready to come in for me because there's somebody I had to go get. So anytime I got caught with 5 fouls, I would just turn around and I would, no response, no reaction, just walk to the bench. Because if you caught me for 5, I did at least 26 or 27 fouls that I hid from you. So that's just being greedy to think that I get caught for 5 fouls and I would be upset. I would just get my 5. I'd take my sweatpants off. I'd take my wristbands off, grab a water, smack the referee on the butt, and they got me that time. But they, the referees here, we'll say it again, so get ready. You might have to erase this afterwards. The referees in the United States, referees in the United States are better at controlling the game. So he was over there playing with guys. Everybody's gone to the park and played against the older guys. They'll step on your foot. They'll pull your pants. They'll get that little slip. They'll slip that little hook on you. They'll grab your leg when they dribble past you. All those little tricks. My first time over in Italy, I'm playing against the best player in Europe, the big guy, Dino Meneghin, and I'm ready to just post him up. I post him up as hard as I can. I got him nailed under the basket. He reaches around, puts his arm around me, and falls down and pulls me on top of him. And then he goes, ah! And I get called for a charge. And I was like, I just got smarter.
He played
There's all these little tricks. There's all these little tricks. A classic trick, anybody planning to go to Europe, classic trick for the referees is you can run at a guy and before you get there, show him your hands and you can knock the dust out of him because the referees are looking where your hands are. Right. You can hip check him into the 5th row and the referee will go like, his hands are up. So. But nice he had to go through. Game. He went through all of that stuff and came out shining on the other side. They basically were priming him to become a monster.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that. I mean, I really think that you're seeing that evolution where next year he's just gonna he could take off and do this for a full 82 the next time they get to that. It'll be fascinating to watch. And hey, they're giving the Clippers a series. They play again tonight, but they're tied up 2 apiece with the Clippers that were seen as this juggernaut coming into the year. So yeah. We'll see how that all shakes itself out. Rosey, before we wrap up, let's get to like our weekly coronavirus check and see what's going on in the world. And for today, things are not so great at Syracuse in the last week as some of the freshmen and the younger folks decided they were just going to go hang on the quad for a little bit.
Well, see, I look at that, but we were talking about the general population. See, when you were the basketball team, you come in ahead of time, they sit you down and they tell you, listen, A, B, C, don't do this, don't do that, don't do the next thing. When you're just a student coming to school, now, I'm going to tell you clearly, the first
You muted yourself, Rosey. We got to unmute you. I don't know how you managed to do this, but you muted yourself. There you go. You're back.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. my finger hit the keyboard. I was doing all my Italian handwork, and I hit the keyboard, and I hit the button. But it's so funny that the first thing that you want to do when you go on campus is find out who else is on the university. It's not like you want to go there to have a party. You're like, where's everybody going to be? I mean, where is the best place to, people are going to be looking for their classes are. They're going to be looking at the university. They're going to be looking at, just trying to get a basic lay of the land. What do? You walk up on the quad. Oops. Everybody had the same idea. Now, having learned that, I think Syracuse officials have realized that if you don't say, don't gather on the quad, they'll say, well, nobody told me that. So now you can say, don't gather on the quad because there are repercussions.
Yeah, I've thought the hardest part of this whole thing, and, you can have your football team and your basketball team sequestered as much as you want. I've always thought the hardest part of this was going to be to ask college-aged kids not to be college-aged kids. Just because I'm thinking about when I was in school. I didn't want to sit in my apartment all the time. I wanted to go out. I wanted to see some friends. I wanted to go, enjoy Fagan's and the places and establishments down on Marshall Street. I wanted to go out and do things. And so I get it. Like, I get why, you didn't have everybody staying inside. But I've always thought that was going to be the hardest part of college and of trying to get college athletics back. Now, if you can keep the football teams and the basketball teams and, all those different groups kind of off on their own, maybe you can do college sports anyway. But I certainly think that's going to be the challenge for them.
Well, you know what? The other thing that I was thinking about, it seems that there weren't any major problems. They don't expect any major problems coming from those people getting together for one main reason. If the university has taken the time to screen who's there,
yep,
then you're being a little reckless, but it's not excusable. But you're being reckless around people that have already been screened. That's why I'm still stuck at UNC. How did they have such a big? If they have a big outbreak like that, somebody had to drop the ball. There had to be a bunch of students on that campus that had the virus that were undetected.
Yeah, so UNC had an outbreak, now probably about a week and a half ago, but it's gotten worse. Notre Dame had an outbreak. And I think just yesterday, actually, NC State announced that they have a couple of clusters of an outbreak. So you're seeing it crop up, but if you can manage it, hey, I think it's better generally to have things in person than via Zoom, but if it's not safe, it's not safe. So it kind of remains to be seen a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's getting safer. It doesn't seem to me. It seems to me like there are less and less really cases where people are being really getting really sick. Don't. Hey, I'm not.
You're not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a Fauci, but I'm just paying attention to my particular area here. I was driving by the school and I saw kids out there playing baseball. I was like,
yeah.
And all the parents around the field, spaced out. Some sitting on top of their cars, sitting on their trucks, watching from a little bit further away. Hey, do what you got to do to make things happen.
Yep, do what you got to do it safely, and do it how you feel comfortable doing it. I think is the most important aspect of it all. Well, Rosie, why don't we say that's a wraps for this week? Enjoyed talking with you as always, and we'll do it again next week.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I'm about to go out. I'm going to my first ever fishing tournament. I will be enrolled in Henderson Harbor, the place where I almost got skunked this last week. But I don't. Listen, you can't. That was last week's game.
Put in the rearview mirror.
This weekend. Rearview mirror. So we're gonna go out there and see how that goes on Thursday and Friday. So I'll keep you posted on what happens.
Yes. So we got some good stories for Tuesday. Then that's what you're telling me.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. We'll talk to you then.
All right. Take care now, Seth.